Your blood sugar does not rest when you do. While you sleep, your liver runs a night shift, releasing stored glucose into your bloodstream in a hormonal surge driven by cortisol, glucagon, and growth hormone. In a body with adequate estrogen, a feedback loop keeps this calibrated. Think of estrogen as the overnight supervisor of the factory. She watches the production line, signals when output climbs too high, and keeps the numbers in range. After 60, for most women, that supervisor has stepped back, and the factory runs on its own defaults. Glucose gets released whether the body needs it or not. Postmenopausal women are significantly more likely to wake with elevated fasting glucose than premenopausal women eating identical diets. The mechanism is not caloric, it is hormonal, and it operates entirely overnight. The fasting number on the monitor in the morning is often not a report on what she ate the day before. It is a report on what her liver manufactured between 2 and 8 a.m. This is why the usual advice: fewer carbohydrates, earlier meals, smaller portions, can be followed precisely and still leave the morning number elevated. It is not a diet problem in the way that word is usually meant. It is a hormonal architecture problem that runs while she is asleep. 7 specific seeds, eaten before bed, each address a different mechanism in that overnight process, carrying distinct compounds, studied largely in postmenopausal women specifically, each one working at a point in the chain the others cannot reach. What follows is what each one actually does, and why. The first seed physically blocks glucose from entering your bloodstream, not as a metaphor, as an actual structure that forms inside the gut. Chia seeds absorb up to 12 times their own weight in water the moment they contact liquid and form a dense, viscous gel. That gel lines the small intestine, and glucose must diffuse through it before it can cross into the blood. The difference between a coated gut and an empty one is like the difference between water filtering through a marsh and rushing through a pipe. The marsh does not stop the flow. It spreads it out, slows the delivery, flattens the surge. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2010 found that chia seeds reduced the glycemic response to white bread by close to 40%. A teaspoon or two before bed means that membrane is at peak viscosity during the hours the liver is most active, the early morning window when glucose production is highest. What chia manages on the absorption side, it cannot address on the manufacturing side. And that is where the next seed comes in. One seed on this list was studied in clinical trials specifically because its effect on fasting blood glucose was large enough that researchers could not look away. Fenugreek seeds contain galactomannan, a soluble fiber that forms a gel so dense it functions less like a membrane and more like a net across the intestinal lining. Glucose still crosses, but at a fraction of its normal rate, exactly what the liver's overnight production demands on the input side. A 1990 clinical trial found that daily fenugreek seed powder significantly reduced fasting blood glucose in people with type 2 diabetes over a sustained period. The only reason fenugreek is not on every blood sugar protocol is bitterness. Soaking a tablespoon in water overnight removes most of it without degrading the galactomannan. These 2 seeds work at the gut wall. The third works inside the cell receptor itself, in a way that matters only to the body a woman has after menopause. This seed does something with no measurable effect in a man's body or in a woman's before menopause. After menopause, it works directly. Ground flaxseed contains lignans, phytoestrogens that occupy estrogen receptors left empty by menopause. Think of the estrogen receptor as a socket that used to power a machine, the machine being insulin sensitivity. When estrogen filled the socket, the machine ran fully. When menopause emptied it, the machine slowed. Lignans are not estrogen, but they fit the socket loosely enough to keep the machine partially running. Estrogen plays a direct structural role in how responsive cells are to insulin's instruction to take up glucose. When it falls, that responsiveness falls with it, not because of anything the body chose, but because the signal that maintained it is gone. A 12-week trial in postmenopausal women found measurable improvements in insulin sensitivity from daily ground flaxseed consumption, an effect not observed in populations where estrogen was still present. The seed must be ground. A whole flaxseed shell passes through the gut intact, 1 tablespoon before bed. The 4th seed addresses not the receptor signal, but whether the receptor's physical mechanism can still turn. Most women over 60 have been gradually losing the ability to use insulin, not because of diet or behavior, but because of one specific depleted mineral. Magnesium is required at the exact moment insulin binds to its receptor on a cell wall. The receptor is a lock, and magnesium is the internal mechanism that allows it to turn. Without it, insulin can arrive, fire its signal, and the door still does not move. Women over 60 are among the most magnesium-depleted groups in the developed world, and standard blood panels do not reveal it until deficiency is severe, which means most women living with insufficient magnesium will never see it flagged on any routine test. Pumpkin seeds are the highest plant-based source of magnesium available. 1 ounce delivers approximately 150 milligrams against a recommended daily intake of 320 milligrams for women over 60. An intake most women in this group are not reaching through food alone. A meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials found magnesium supplementation significantly improved insulin sensitivity and reduced fasting blood glucose in individuals with documented deficiency. Pumpkin seeds before bed put magnesium into circulation during the hours the lock most needs to function. The 5th seed works further upstream, not at the receptor, but at what the liver decides to produce before any glucose is ever released. The 5th seed adjusts the liver's overnight production order, before any glucose enters the bloodstream at all. Sesame seeds contain 2 lignans, sesamin and sesamolin, that activate receptor structures inside cells called PPAR-alpha. These receptors function like a thermostat for glucose and fat metabolism. When activated, they signal the liver to dial back its overnight glucose output. Think of it as changing the production order from inside the control room, rather than redirecting inventory already leaving the loading dock. Most blood sugar interventions work at the loading dock. This one works in the control room. The evening is also when the liver begins ramping its overnight schedule, which means a PPAR-alpha activating compound taken before sleep is working in direct counter to the body's most active glucose-producing window. Animal and human studies have found sesamin activates these pathways and measurably reduces hepatic glucose production. A tablespoon of sesame seeds before bed, or a small drizzle of cold-pressed sesame oil, is sufficient. This is part of what I built. Strong past the drop around. Women over 50 are not dealing with one broken lever, but 5 mechanisms that shifted simultaneously, and addressing only the visible one leaves the others running. The protocol maps out how to structure meals, time eating windows, and add movement that matches what a postmenopausal body actually responds to, specifically. It is on screen if you want it. 2 seeds remain, and each one addresses a mechanism nothing so far has reached. The 6th mechanism has no obvious symptom, does not appear on any standard panel, and is quietly making every other intervention less effective in most women over 60. Hemp seeds are one of the only plant foods containing all 9 essential amino acids in proportions the body can use directly. Protein overnight gives the liver an alternative substrate. Instead of drawing on glycogen and converting it to glucose, it can pull from circulating amino acids for its own maintenance processes. Think of it as handing the night crew a second task so they stop defaulting to the one output you already have too much of. Hemp seeds also contain gamma-linolenic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid that reduces the chronic low-grade inflammation that builds at the receptor level over time. Inflammation that does not hurt? does not appear on any routine panel, and simply makes insulin progressively less effective year by year. The final seed addresses not the receptor, but the precision of the signal insulin sends to it. Most women carefully managing their blood sugar have a gap they cannot identify, not in what they eat, but in how clearly insulin's message is being received. Sunflower seeds are among the most concentrated food sources of chromium in the diet. Inside cells, chromium binds to a molecule called chromatolin, which amplifies insulin's signal at the receptor. The difference between an instruction arriving clearly and arriving as interference. Without adequate chromium, insulin fires, but the message does not land with full force. Women who have spent years on low-calorie diets are disproportionately depleted. Chromium is excreted in urine whenever blood sugar runs elevated, a cycle that compounds quietly over decades without appearing on any standard test. Sunflower seeds also carry concentrated vitamin E, which protects the beta cells in the pancreas, the cells that produce insulin, from the oxidative damage that accumulates with age and progressively reduces the body's production capacity. 7 seeds, 7 mechanisms, each one chosen not as a general wellness food, but as a specific compound with a documented mechanism applied to the particular shift in hormonal architecture that occurs after 60. Chia and fenugreek slow what enters at the gut wall. Ground flaxseed restores the estrogen-linked signal that keeps receptors sensitive. Pumpkin seeds replace the magnesium the receptor lock needs to turn. Sesame adjusts the liver's overnight production order before any glucose is released. Hemp reduces the inflammation that degrades the receptor and gives the liver an alternative to glucose production during the night. Sunflower seeds sharpen the precision of insulin's delivery signal so the instruction actually lands. Everything on this list operates in the same window, the hours that shape the fasting number more than anything done in daylight, the shift that no standard blood sugar advice was built for. Almost none of what you have been given was written for this body at this time of night. You understand the mechanisms now, what the liver is doing between 2 and 8 in the morning, why the estrogen that used to regulate it is gone, and where each of these 7 compounds intervenes in that process. Knowing the mechanism and building a practical week around it are not the same thing. That is what Strong Past the Drop was built to close. I put it together after watching women who understood exactly what was happening in their bodies still arrive at Monday with no usable structure, because the protocol they were following was built for someone else's biology. It is 8 weeks. Muscle-first meals, eating windows timed to postmenopausal hormonal patterns, short strategic walks, simple leg strength routines, and meal structures specifically designed to close the overnight cycle rather than reopen it. Each element chosen for how this body responds, specifically after the hormonal drop. It costs something because building it took real time,